Welcome to PodTalk show. Today we have with us Shaymi Shah, founder of SOEL. So welcome Shaymi. We are
Thank
glad
you.
to have you on board.
Thank you so much.
So your profile is very interesting to me, as I have seen you come from a background of architecture and entered into writing. Can you tell me something about that journey?
Okay, so it was during my course in architecture that I figured and I found my passion for writing. It was because of an assignment that we did in Goa. And I decided to start writing as just like a venting sort of a thing on an online blog. But over a period of time, after trying to pursue a job in architecture for a couple of months later after college, I realized that that is not meant for me. So I was going to give writing the a try. And around the same time, it was when COVID hit. So during almost 2020 was where I got a chance to write for anthologies. Anthologies are co-authored books, which a lot of writers get together and write on a specific theme. And that opportunity came absolutely out of the blue, and I gave that a try. And next thing I know, I was just writing for anthology after anthology throughout for a year, and gained more confidence in it over time. So that is when I decided to pursue writing as a career and also give a lot of other styles of writing, a try by doing architectural journalism, by doing like research based writing and online or content writing style stuff. But then I also realized that it was creative writing where I found my calling. So that is kind of how I ventured from doing a rigorous course like architecture to going into and pursuing my passion for
So you have
writing.
never worked as an architect.
I worked as an architect for like 4 to 5 months max, except for the internship time. Yeah.
And what is the story behind this word soul, the brand name?
So, so this was when I was naming the brand that I realized what I had been subconsciously doing. Soul stands for seek, observe, evolve, and learn. And that is basically what my writing process is. I seek deeper meaning in the life around me. I observe things more carefully and closely. And I let those observations, like brew in my head to let my perceptions evolve, and then I share those realizations and learnings through the writings that I end up writing for in form of quotes or musings or poetry or stories. And that is how the base philosophy of soul was formed.
As I have seen that you have written a book during COVID.
Yeah.
Can you tell me about your experience there?
So it was a longer, it was more a subconscious process than a conscious one that I decided to write a book, because I was just constantly trying out different formats of writing. And one of the things that struck me was a lot of, so I had done a lot of, case studies as a part of what was going on. So I read up a lot of ongoing current books on poetry stories and everything. But I realized that those little poetry sort of format was also quite saturated at that point. So I wanted to give something new a try, and I was like, whenever I am sitting in nature or somewhere outside, I end up just wondering about these thoughts of what if the sun and the moon talked, or what if plants talked to water, or something like that. So that just subconsciously started formulating as an idea of what I can make out of it. And I would just note those down. And one fine day when I went through those notes, I was like, oh, what if I compile all of this into a proper structure and make it into a book? Then what would it be? But then it was still not like a very properly structured idea. Then when I reflected again on them is where I found that there was an underlying journey of a person who thought that they belong to the darkness like the moon, but through all of these instances and questions that they had asked and found answers for in the day, uh, they fell in love with the light. So that is how my journey of writing this particular book had been, that it was a very subconscious journey that I was actually doing, and it completely got translated into the form of a book.
Uh, सो एक मार्केट में एक थॉट है दैट यूजुअली ऑथर्स और राइटर्स आर सोशली ऑकवर्ड. व्हाट्स योर टेक ऑन दैट?
I used to be quiet like that. My name actually means shy. To be honest, I have always been a very introvert person. But I think living in different cities over a duration of 3 4 years has really helped me open up. I did a lot of online, like poetry open mic style stuff, wherein I would have to be on stage in front of people performing poetry and things like that. So that helped me build confidence. But yeah, if you would meet me in a crowded room, I would be kind of awkward at first, but then if we start having a conversation in general, then there's no stopping. Then it's just like I can keep going.
कैन यू वॉक अस थ्रू द राइटिंग जर्नी? आप कैसे लिखते हैं और व्हाट इज द प्रोसेस बिहाइंड इट?
Okay, so honestly, I don't think कि मेरा ऐसा कोई specific process है. I do want to write every day, which I really wish I could, but ऐसा नहीं होता है. So I do have a lot of observations that I do, like subconsciously मेरा I am generally a listener than a talker. So what happens is I take in a lot from everything that is happening around me, whether it is people or things happening in nature, anything, any conversation. But मुझे वो सब है ना, मैं कहीं ना कहीं पूरे दिन में you will see me typing down notes very quietly, quickly, and then I would be like, okay, now I'll sit at night and see where that thought has come from, how I can make it into something. But as much as I would want it every day, it does not happen every day. वो होता है over periods of like these creative outbursts, and then there's this phase where I am like अभी सिर्फ इसके साथ बैठ के इसको शांति से like there are times when I have to just get bored. Honestly, I have to just be like, okay, I don't want to do anything today. Nothing. I'm just gonna sit at peace, listen to music, and then see कि वो subconscious observations ने what क्या क्या मैंने collect किया है, in which I can translate into something, some nice thought or poetry or maybe a short story. Yeah.
सो जब आप सोल के लिए कंटेंट बनाते हैं, हाउ डू यू प्रोसेस दैट?
ओके, सोल के लिए कंटेंट में समटाइम्स आई एंड अप यूजिंग थीम्स एज माई बेस, दैट आई एम लाइक ओके दिस टाइम अगर हमको द थीम इज मोमेंट्स ऑफ पॉज, देन दैट इज अ सबकॉन्शियस थिंग दैट आई पुट इन माई हेड, दैट अभी ये चीज़ कॉन्स्टेंटली चलनी चाहिए. wherever you are, whatever you're doing, somewhere or the other you have to find that moment of pause or that inspiration and then note it down. Then later I will make it into a proper piece of writing. But if I'm sitting here and if I feel like okay, this could become a moment of pause, this could be something जो लोगों को ऐसे 2 मिनट के लिए ऐसे ठहराव वाला एक चांस दे सकेगी, then I will note that thing down उसी टाइम पे. फिर I will go back to it later and make it proper, like from raw to refined version.
Can you explain soul exactly करता क्या है?
Soul has been something जो मुझे तो बहुत ही टाइम से it has been helping me, which I have realized much later कि मैं तो ये चीज़ already कर रही थी, but it is something that helps me find something that fuels my soul. Basically it is like if मैं बहुत ही consciously aware हूँ about the life around me, then I know that at any moment if I am feeling very overwhelmed, if there are moments of there is a moment where I'm feeling very low or not okay, then I know that this is something that is going to help me bring like come back to the present, feel a little better than I was feeling before, because it is just about being so much more conscious, self introspective, being very reflective about like I don't like to react, I love to step back, take a moment to do like no, we don't need to react right now, let's respond. So those are the kind of approaches which over time soul has taught me, because I have been doing that process for at least 3 to 4 years for sure. Uske pehle if I was doing it, then I'm not like I may not have registered it, but yeah, that is something that keeps helping me find and discover something about myself that I did not know before. So that is how it has been.
And what do you do at Brand Soul?
At Brand Soul, what we try to and what we want to do is कि जैसे ये मुझे help कर रहा है every day in my daily life, I feel like if that is something that I can give to my end users or my customers and help people understand कि आपके आजू बाजू के दुनिया से या आप जो डेली यूज़ प्रोडक्ट्स यूज़ करते हो, अगर वो चीज़ आपको वो वाला मोमेंट दे सकती है इंस्पिरेशन का, या वो वाला मोमेंट दे सकती है जो आपको बस ऐसे पल भर का सुकून दे सके, ऐसे वाले मोमेंट्स, इफ़ आई कैन इंटीग्रेट दैट इन देयर लाइव्स, then that is what I want to do through the products that we like create and sell from Soul.
Can you help me with understanding what products do you sell at Soul and why have you chose those products only?
So one of the ideas while making and designing the product portfolio was that I feel like we in this time we see but don't notice, we hear but we don't listen, we are never in sync with our senses, we're always doing a lot of things and we are really overstimulated. It is really essential कि हम लोग we kind of come back to the present moment through evoking those senses again in the right manner. So when we were doing the product portfolio, one of the main things was कि हम लोगों को ऐसा था कि sight, touch, taste, hear, smell, वो सारे को हम लोग कैसे evoke करें through our products was going to be like the base of choosing which products. So it was like, for sight, you don't necessarily have to touch or taste it, but you can just see and get that moment of reflection. So it could be a desk frame or a calendar, something that you don't have to, be in that interactive with. Then for touch based stuff, it was like things which have really nice textures, which are like handmade products, or very nice textured covers for journals or diaries. For smell, it was like, obviously you have candles for starters, and then we also introduced reed diffusers, which is like a consistent fragrant thing that you can have in your home. So over a period of time we were like, हमको ऐसे वाले चीज़ें चाहिए जो आपको, you don't have to be in, like conscious about it being there, but they are going to be around. तो आपको जब भी ऐसा हो रहा है कि यार I'm not okay, I don't know, I don't feel like working today, or I don't feel like motivated or inspired today, then if that thing around you is just lying there and it gives you like this little note which inspires you and gets you going, then that is the main thing that we wanted to do
Understood.
through Soul.
So as I understand, you define yourself as a social entrepreneur. So what is a challenge you have faced as a social entrepreneur?
This making people understand that when you are taking a candle or a coaster, a mug or a tote bag from Soul, you are not taking it merely because it's the product, or you are not taking it for the only the smell or the use of it. The idea is that when you're doing this, or when you're gifting also this product, you're gifting a message to that end user, and you are मतलब you're trying to tell them that I'm here for you no matter what. ये products के साथ आप लोग एक message भी दे रहे हो. That is something that has taken a while to get to people and make them understand that they don't just perceive them as products that are that you normally use.
So I believe you are an entrepreneur too, और आप एक creative भी हैं. So how do you balance between being analytic and being creative?
Okay, analytics part is the tough part. Creativity is something that वो मतलब I know that I'll make time for it in the day no matter what. So basically analytics, actually that is why I'm glad that my sister is also on board with this, because she handles so many other aspects that I don't have to. So I can actually focus on the creative side a lot more. But yeah, over time I have realized that there is a lot more to business than just the creative aspect, which I have only been learning and evolving through these 2 years that we have worked on.
What is your take on sustainable gifting?
So this was one of the main things that I wanted to do. That I know that when we end up packaging orders, say like gifting it to people, there's a large part of it which will just go away in trash. So even our packaging has been designed in a manner कि उस पे भी आपको poetry मिलेगा, तो आपको वो चीज़ को भी reuse and repurpose constantly आप कर सकते हो. And in terms of being a thoughtful gifting brand, it was more like that we never wanted to get into like only perishable items because they don't last. So we wanted to gift stuff that lasts uh, for a much longer time.
Uh, where do you see SOEL after 5 years?
Okay, that's a tough one, but I do know what I see it in the coming, yeah, few months for sure. That we are going to, it has already evolved beyond being a brand that sells products. So we are going to be introducing a lot more things that are community driven, and we are going to make and introduce people to the idea of what SOEL is as a process, not just a brand that sells, all of these products. So we're going to be taking a lot more initiatives to do collaborations with other artists and creators, and do events and workshops to introduce more and more people to the idea of why SOEL will work for them and help them go on a journey of self-discovery.
So now we are going to shift towards rapid fire round, where you'll have to answer each questions within 10 seconds.
Okay.
I believe that would be a difficult task for an author.
Very.
Okay, so the first question is, do you write corporate content too, or do you just write the content for SOEL?
No, just content for SOEL.
What type of writer are you? Are you a persuasive or a descriptive?
Descriptive.
A storyteller or a poet?
Storyteller.
Who is your favorite writer?
Ruskin Bond.
One favorite product from SOEL store?
The craft paper journal.
And what is your favorite genre?
Mystery thrillers.
One brand that inspires you the most?
Alicia Souza. Happy Bacon.
Great. So that has been a great time with you.
Yeah.
And I believe even you guys have been able to understand कि किस तरीके से एक सस्टेनेबल और थॉटफुल गिफ्टिंग ब्रांड एक ऐसी प्रोडक्ट जो आपके साथ आपके हर रोज़मर्रा ज़िंदगी के साथ चल सके, एंड हाउ इट कैन एक्चुअली रेसिप्रोकेट विथ वॉट यू थिंक, हाउ यू थिंक, किस तरीके से छोटे छोटे मोमेंट्स ऑफ पॉजिटिविटी अराउंड यू एंड इन द प्रोडक्ट्स दैट यू कंज्यूम कैन एक्चुअली मेक यू अ पॉजिटिव पर्सन. Thank you so much for your time, Shaymi.
Thank you.
And hope to have a great future of SOEL.
Thank you. Thank
Thanks
you for having
for-
me. Thank you.
Please follow Growth PodTalk show for lots of such interaction with great entrepreneurs and great leaders in the industry. Thank you for your time.